Good afternoon and welcome to the July 16th edition of the Sidereal Insights Astro Update. I'm 𝗦𝗡𝗢𝗏. I'm the astrologer and artist of Mystick Physick Astrology, and I use Western Sidereal Astrology in this broadcast and in my practice to help you reconnect with your soul purpose and to remember why you came. And with Sidereal Insights, what we do every 2 weeks is we examine the astrology of the current planetary transits across the heavens from a Western Sidereal perspective. If you need to look up your sidereal sign placements to follow along with the broadcast, there's an easy-to-use calculator online at mystickphysick.com/sidereal-tools. And my aim, as always, with these broadcasts is to provide guidance on how we can consciously use the energy of the transiting planets to affect our lives in a positive way. And so thank you for joining me. Please like and share this broadcast or tag a friend if you know someone who might be interested in what we're going to be talking about here today. And you can follow Mystick Physick on Facebook and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So what is up for today? What is up right now? To recap some of our current transits, Saturn and Pluto are currently retrograde in Sagittarius. We have Neptune retrograde in Aquarius, Mars retrograde in Capricorn. So a lot of retrograde activity still going on. We of course just had Jupiter resume direct motion earlier this month on the 10th, which is good news for Sagittarius babies. In terms of forward progress, in terms of growth and expansion. So watch the house that Sagittarius occupies in your natal chart for a sign that things are going to begin moving forward and begin to pick up speed. And you may also feel this to some degree in your Libra house. So please keep that in mind over the coming weeks as Jupiter picks up speed. This is really a season of change. We're in the middle of eclipse season right now, so we do have a lot of activity going on in that regard. We just had our new moon in Gemini, a solar eclipse, earlier this month on the 12th. And that occurred at 25 degrees of Gemini, and it was the first in a Gemini Sagittarius series that's going to culminate in July of 2020. So this is an eclipse series to keep an eye on and to potentially take notes about as you notice how it begins to affect you. But this new moon in Gemini occurred opposite retrograde Pluto, which is the planet of rebirth and resurrection. It's also the planet of transformation, and so you may find something significant in your life begin to undergo a transformation between now and July 2020. Watch for that to transition into something new. So let's talk a little bit about the eclipses that we're going through right now. So we're just on the tail end of this new moon solar eclipse in Gemini, the tail end of its immediate influence. Of course, eclipses have an effect up to 60 days before and after the exact eclipse. They're usually strongest in the week just before and the week after. So we're just kind of coming off the tail end of the most intense experiences of this particular eclipse, but we can continue to feel them coming up for the next couple of weeks and for the next couple of months, although you'll typically notice those influences to be strongest right around the new moon in July, the new moon in August, and the new moon in September a little bit. Hi Allison, it's good to have you on. Thanks for joining me. So we're just talking a little bit about the current eclipse series that we're coming through. It's kind of an overlap of two different series of eclipses, and like I said, the beginning of the Gemini Sagittarius series of eclipses. It's going to last through July 2020, so here for the next couple of years. And then this coming up at the end of the month at our full moon, and then again in August at the new moon, we have 2 more eclipses going on, and those will be eclipses from the Cancer Capricorn series. Okay, so our next eclipse will be at the full moon on the 27th of July at 9 degrees 45 minutes Capricorn. And this is one where drive and ambition are going to be spotlighted for us, especially with Mars still out of balance. Drive and ambition are really going to be highlighted. So this is a perfect opportunity at the upcoming full moon at the end of the month to finish up any long-term projects you've been working on, especially projects you may have begun as early as February of 2017. So we're talking major projects, long-term projects. So finish those up and then prepare to give them one final review as we go into Mercury's retrograde in late July and the first couple of weeks of August. That'll be a fantastic time to conduct a final review and make any revisions or tweaks that may become obviously necessary as you wrap up your project with the eclipse. So with this upcoming full moon lunar eclipse being in Capricorn, so what we're seeing during this time frame, and this is an effect that'll cover a month or so, several weeks of our experience, traditions are being altered in really radical and unexpected ways. And that will be occurring in the wake of this eclipse, so up to 60 days before the full moon eclipse, July 27th, and stretching to approximately 60 days after. Keep an eye on that time frame for sudden structural changes, changes to tradition, changes to normal ways that you've been experiencing things that are recurrent patterns over a long period of time. Those patterns are going to begin changing. If you haven't already felt those changes already, they're coming, if not. But this is going to reflect permanent shifts that we have to adjust to. Like I said, sudden structural changes could be coming. Now they'll be easier to accommodate with minimal upheaval and disruption right now. Because of aspects that we have with this full moon lunar eclipse, the ruler of it being Saturn, and his trine to Uranus as we go through the coming weeks. So that's going to flavor the eclipse. It's going to flavor the series to some degree. So watch, like I said, for sudden and unexpected changes to traditional structures over the coming weeks and months. But know that as those changes happen, adapting to them won't be as difficult and challenging as it might normally be, because we do have some supportive aspects from Uranus as we go through this eclipse. Okay, and then we have one more coming up at the new moon in August on the 11th. That one will take place at 23 degrees 41 minutes of Cancer, and we'll talk a little bit more about that one in detail in the August overview, which is going to come up on the website here in the next couple of days, so watch for that to drop. I'll make an announcement here and I'll send out an email as soon as that's ready. But that's a continuation of a series, like I was saying, that began in February 2017 and it will continue through January 2019. So this is reactivating themes which may have arisen previously in February 2017, in August of 2017, or even as recently as January 2018. And so what we'll see as we move through July and August is we'll see those themes be reactivated and moved further through their transitional changes. But they won't resolve, like I was saying, until much later. But watch for that. So the important dates you'll want to keep an eye on: the 27th of August for the full moon lunar eclipse, and then the 27th of July and the 11th, I believe, let me double check, of August. Yes, the 11th of August. So watch those two dates specifically. Coming up through the remainder of this week, we're going to be experiencing themes potentially around truth and deception as they relate to business and personal relationships, potentially love relationships. Watch for those themes to be activated here coming week, and especially if you have Libra or Taurus sun or rising, you may be quite personally affected as we experience some transits to Venus coming up in the next 5 to 7 days. And then watch also near the 25th, so just in advance of our full moon lunar eclipse, watch near the 25th, especially if you have a planet or personal point at 7 or 8 degrees of a cardinal sign. So we're speaking of Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn. For surprises to come up, you could potentially encounter a very challenging surprise in the days around the 25th if you have a planet or personal point at 7 or 8 degrees of a cardinal sign. And then again, we have Mercury retrograding at the end of the month on the 26th. He's going to station retrograde in Sidereal Cancer. Hi Danielle, it's good to have you on. So this particular Mercury retrograde, we've already entered the shadow. We entered the shadow on the 6th of this month. So if you haven't begun preparing, this is a good time to prepare. You still have some time to do things like back up hard drives, back up your cell phone, make sure that you're protected in terms of having extra copies of any important digital files and protecting any of your electronic devices or communication devices. So definitely take time to prepare before the retrograde begins in that regard. Okay, so back on the 6th of July is when we entered. Mercury will station retrograde on the 26th, and he'll be retrograde through the 18th of August. So for those first 2.5 weeks or so of August, it'll be a wonderful opportunity to slow down, to downshift, to take a step back and kind of assess the progress that you've made over the last several weeks, and identify any areas where you might need to make changes, revisions, corrections, any of that. And those places may become more clear as we move through the full moon at the end of the month on the 27th, because the eclipse may reveal areas where you need to improve or make corrections to things you've been working on but hadn't noticed just yet. So watch to see if perhaps the eclipse might deliver you some news there. Okay, now be sure to read up for the remainder of July your rising sign and sun sign horoscopes at mystickphysick.com. They go more in depth, much more detailed personal advice sign by sign. So be sure to read through those, and definitely come back for the August overview and short reports, which will be available here in the next couple of days, like I was saying. Also, join us in the Sidereal Insights Astrology community here on Facebook. If you haven't joined us already, I'm going to be live there on Thursday the 26th, so just the day before the full moon lunar eclipse. We'll live stream at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and I believe this is really early in the morning if you're with us in the UK. We'll be doing our full moon releasing live stream for the full moon lunar eclipse in Capricorn, and you won't want to miss that, so be sure to join me there. And like I said, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already done that, because you'll never miss a broadcast if you do that. And please feel free to like and share, tag a friend if you know someone who may get some benefit from learning about upcoming transits via the 𝘱𝘍𝗶𝗵𝘁𝘀 sidereal zodiac here in the next coming weeks and next coming months as we navigate eclipse season and prepare to adjust to some changes that are coming our way. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you again next time.